made it to Seattle, Washington. I'm here for the entire week. This week, I'm really excited to sit down with somebody who's been a mentor, a friend, and a close colleague that I have so much respect for, Callum Dewar. Callum has taught me some really important lessons, including that Great Britain is a collection of countries that does not include Ireland. This week, we're being technical with Callum Dewar. Let's get this week going, shall we?
Am I allowed to say I've been coerced into being here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. I am with Callum Dewar. Callum is one of the international tax partners, our integrated global structuring leader. Got a lot of young people who are still in university. What is your education background? Because I understand you did not study accounting.
No, I did a master's degree in politics at Edinburgh University. And the way it works in the UK is different than the US. In the UK, a fairly standard route in was you did a degree in whatever subject, and then joined what was the Big Eight at the time, became the Big Four, and joined them and to do your UK equivalent to the CPA. In the first 3 years you work for the firms. I randomly filled in the application form to join the tax department.
Okay.
And do my exams from there. There was no real thinking behind that. It wasn't a well thought out process.
But that's not uncommon in the UK system for people to have some sort of liberal arts or type of degree, which is really different than in the US, where we're typically recruiting from accounting and similar programs.
So that's the way the route I came in.
All right. So I'm in the PBC Seattle office today. I have a number of internal meetings, catching up on a whole bunch of stuff, and Instagram Live, ladies and gentlemen, today. But in the meantime, I got some conference calls and some work to do, but check out the view from this conference room. So we have a mentor in common, Richard McGinnis. Richard has been on the vlog a couple of times.
Yeah.
I know he was a mentor of your...
Rich was up at the whiteboard drawing something, and I said to Rich, why wouldn't you do this, whatever this was? And he turned around to me and he said, that's not the stupidest thing you've ever said. And I went home that night sort of on cloud nine. This was the nearest I got to a compliment out of Rich. But Rich and John broadly made my career. They gave me a real opportunity to see how creative thinking works, how to problem solve. Two very, very smart individuals. They still boss me around, so there's no change in that.
I got a recommendation from one of the guys, Andrew Jensen, who's part of our international tax team, to go to Cary Park. So my Instagram starts here in like 18 minutes, and I'm waiting for an Uber to go to Cary Park, and he insists that they're the best views of the sound, the city, and everything in Seattle. This is my Uber driver. Hello. This is the view. I need to find a good spot for my Insta Live. All right, so this is my setup. Just got off the phone with Kara. Hopefully this electrical transformer doesn't blow. I got the amazing view of Seattle. Like, if you're not following Life at PwC Instagram account, you're missing. What did you find valuable outside of what you learned from a tax perspective, but just of doing a rotation in a different country, and what was that experience like?
Well, I mean, I was I was a serial offender. I wanted to come back to the US. I enjoyed living in the US. At the time, I thought your beer sucked, but other than that, I could kind of live with it. And any opportunity to work in a different environment gives you, a different view on life.
One of the things that I've been really impressed and admire what you've done since you've come back to the U.S. and since we've had U.S. tax reform is really to reinvent yourself as a real credentialed expert in U.S. taxation. And, one of the things that I think is really challenging for people at various stages of their career, can you make a change? How do you make a change? How do you really reinvent yourself when you've been doing something historically for as long as you had? What advice would you give to somebody if they do want to make a change? And how have you what process did you go through to really reinvent and credentialize yourself?
If you're willing to do the reading and you're willing to, pay attention to when people tell you stuff, and, our organization, like many organizations, we have a huge amount of knowledge out there that you can access, and you just got to be willing to access it. And don't be afraid to ask a dumb question. You can get some fairly brutal answers, but as long as you're reasonably thick-skinned, you'll learn very quickly by asking questions.
You had to give any advice to yourself when you were just coming out of university. What advice would you give to a young Callum Dewar?
Eat less, drink less beer, and watch your weight, because I'm still struggling with that one. In terms of professional,
That's a good one.
I think, if you get an opportunity, think about how to make the most of the opportunity, and don't just think, the opportunity's this, and I got to do this, and I'll get this out of it. Think about, what will that opportunity allow me to do as my next opportunity? And what do I need to do to get my next opportunity? And I think if you think that way, and you don't have to have a plan to where you want to be, but you just have to have a plan as to how is each opportunity going to give me the chance to have a better opportunity after that. And I think if you do that, even if you get given what seems like a fairly mundane role or project, often you can turn that into something that really helps you for your next project, which is more exciting. So I'm not known for my natural optimism.
No.
So I wouldn't say I do this cheerily, but I do it quietly behind the scenes and not let anyone know I'm cheery about it.
Well, Callum, you were much less grumpy than I anticipated on the Doug McConey vlog. Thank you very much for your participation.
Okay.
Callum Dewar, ladies and gentlemen.